Little Swine back again, and now today this will be my Belial guide. Been playing this character now for about a month, so I have a pretty good grasp of the character and what you kind of want to do. It'll start with like a kind of like a beginner sort of look and what you want to kind of like start doing with the character, like his buttons, his specials, and in the end I'll cover a little bit more advanced concepts, nothing too crazy, just anything that I think is kind of important that you might want to know. And then I'll have some combos right at the end, and that will pretty much be it for the guide. But yeah, if you like any of this type of content, be sure to hit the like or subscribe button. I'm going to try get more guides out. Lately I've not had too many come in, I've been a bit busy, but this is hopefully the start of where I get a few more consistent ones out. But yeah, this will be the beginning one. Anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so we're going to go into his strengths and weaknesses. By one of his biggest strengths, he can really play anywhere on the screen. He's really good at the full screen because he has probably got the best projectile in the entire game, if I'm being completely honest. His up close pressure is also really good. He has like loads of ways to keep establishing plus frames, which is like really good for him. So he has this. He can do this with his crouching M medium, which is also plus. His weakest point in the screen is probably the mid screen, but he's still not terrible here. Like, he's got this button here to stop opponents from approaching. His 5M is also really good to stop people approaching because it's so active, because it's a double hit and move. When you do it at a certain distance, you get the thing, but the move is still like really active anyway. And he's probably got one of the best whiff punish buttons in the entire game, which is his 5H. Essentially, it could even be considered like another 6XL because of how far. It's like 9 frames. The 6XL he comes out in 8, but like because obviously you have to do a forward input, even with the dash macro, this is essentially like 9 frames. But this is like just a one button thing. This is pretty good, and you can like start your combo off that. So that's probably where his strengths lie. Like he is quite versatile. He's also got this parry, which is also really good to counter zoning. So he has control like most only over the whole screen. Like the opponent has to kind of play his game. There's only a few matchups where I don't feel like he is too strong in that regard. I say this is his biggest weakness is probably just his stubby normals. Like while these are good for like stuffing and if you're trying to control the neutral properly, then they are quite useful. But in terms of like being like far and pushed out and stuff, you can struggle a bit. It's not like got Percival's big old normals and stuff. Like this is good, but it's like it's a big commitment. It's just like a double hitter. If you're gonna hit it, you are minus 43, so it's not like like a massive slam dunk, but it is still a good button. But that's probably his biggest weakness. I would say it's just he's a bit stubby when you don't want him to be in certain spots. But I think his strengths ultimately do completely beat that out. Like I don't think the weakness is that really important. But if you wanted to say what weakness I think he has got, that's probably the one I go with. Alright, so the next thing we're going to go over is normals and specials. I'll just go over the buttons I think that are the most important that you'll kind of want to start using. First thing we're going to go over is kind of defensively buttons. I'd say this button here is 2L. This is probably the best 2L in the entire game. It doesn't hit low, which is a shame, but it will probably be broken if it hit 2L. It's just good for its range and how it can connect into the 5L. You can play at this kind of safe pressure distance. It's really good for like mashing out of like 6XL situations, so you can do something like this. And the reason why it's good to go into claw is because even after this whole sequence, you are still safe. You're -4, between -4 and 5, which is like really nice, especially at that distance. It doesn't really matter what the opponent does at this point. They can obviously DP through this, but if they're not like wise to it, you can get them for mashing. They try press a button, you can frame trap them with this. So it's like in tandem, these kind of go well together. And obviously if you're in the corner, you can EX and then get like a full combo and stuff. So I think just both these buttons in general, they're just like really nice for like kind of like this is what you only kind of use in the main close range. And this button here, this is his 5M, which I was kind of going about how active this move is. This move is really good at like countering the opponent. It's very good like in this sort of light, right? If the opponent presses anything, you can kind of like hit them and then go into a combo. I find a lot of the stuff Belial kind of wants to try to do is based around whiff punishing. He's very good at it because of this move, and then this move here is 5H, which I'll kind of go into. But this is the button you kind of want to do when you're stuffing the opponent's approach essentially, or when you have them cornered because it's so active. Like it's really good at like catching things. And then obviously this button here is like really good for like just mainly with punishing. Like if you got an opponent who's like pressing buttons and stuff, and you're like hovering around this distance and they press something and then you like go in. Something worth noting, it doesn't work on the second hit. You can only cancel from the first hit. So that's something to bear in mind. You are safe, you're -3, so you're still okay, which is kind of crazy how you don't get like mad reward off this, like, to be honest, but for what it is, it's still really, really decent. So if you got an opponent who's like running around doing this, for example, you can do this, try catch him. And you can get a little combo like that. Obviously, if you're closer in the corner's probably the best example. You can kind of get like a really nice combo on it. You can get into your super and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of the whiff punish button if you like. Then we got the 2M. This button's really good for like stuffing out the opponent who's like trying to move in on you. Like it's very low recovery, so you can go straight into your DP straight after if the opponent tries to jump on you. Obviously this is air unblockable, so it's very, very advised. He has one of the pretty decent DP. It's quite hard to it's quite hard for the opponent to punish this. They got a punish with evade, but it's like -12, which is freaking stupid for a DP if you ask me. But they can evade, so an opponent who knows what they're doing, they'll have an easier time dealing with it. Obviously they can anti-air the move as well. It's a little bit trickier though, but a lot on reaction because it is still quite a fast move. It's like -11 frames, so it's pretty decent. But yeah, so 2M is pretty nice. It's also plus, and it hits low, which is absolutely freaking ridiculous, and the distance it hits is quite nice. You can use it to counter hit the opponent, which is really nice. Similar to how Grand works. And obviously, like most, it's pretty forgiving on how you kind of get away with it. Obviously, yeah, in the corner, like most things in the game and stuff, it's quite nice. You get a lot more reward. You know. So, that's kind of like the best way to play it. It's obviously up, so if you do it in their face, you can go into like your lights rather than the 5H, because if you go into 5H this close, you're just going to get counter hit. So you can go into your light attacks if you want to like kind of mix it up rather than doing 2 lows in a row. So yeah, but they're the kind of buttons you want to kind of like focus on the most. It's yeah, defensively these ones, 2M, with punish with this. And that's kind of it. If you want to go about like air normals, he has 2 really good ones. He has 2. This one's okay. It's just like pretty standard. It's still quite short ranges. I don't really use it too much. The ones I use are this one for like air to airs, and I always use this one as well because it's so gargantuous. And his jumping unique attack is good, but it's only very situational. It's more of a throw bait, and you don't want to use it too much. But the reason the jump medium's quite good is because it's more of a cross-up button. It's got quite a nice cross-up hitbox. And then this one's mostly just used for like kind of, I guess, safe jumps and like because it hits like such a bloody good distance. So it's like quite nice. It's very suffocating from the distance you kind of use it. Also, it's really good for like neutral jumps. You can kind of like someone's running it at you, you kind of just do that. So yeah, but I'll show you quickly something you can do with his jumping unique attack. So you get your like kind of pressure started. It's more like just the throw bait one. Sadly, you can only get a full combo on it if they're like crouching, which is like a little bit frustrating. But like you know, and if they block it, you are like incredibly like minus, but you are still plus after the move. If it hits, sorry. So it is still a one good to kind of throw out. You can like enter the round, like kind of like do this, and then like kind of mix them up a little bit. But one thing to note is when you jump on their head, if you hold back, he'll hop back, and if you hold forward, he'll hop forward. But it's kind of like more of a gimmick more than anything. But you can get away with it occasionally. Obviously, the opponent, you know, they could like not be focusing on what's going on, and you get your combo that way. But yeah, something to bear in mind. Alright, so what we're going to talk about now is his special moves. I'm going to do his projectiles in a separate section. I think this character is quite easy to play, but understanding the projectiles is the only thing I found too tricky, so I kind of want to focus on them a little bit, because there's a lot you can kind of do with them. They're really good for like controlling the screen, and then once you can kind of control them, your neutral becomes like much better. Like, it's kind of paramount to playing the character well, in my opinion anyway. Okay, but first we'll start with the claw. Basically, it's usually a combo string or block string and a pressure ender. You mostly want to do the light version in a combo string. You can get, it is -5, so an opponent with a really good, Belial for example, can probably get a punish on you for doing this. Nothing too crazy though, but it's something to bear in mind. And his medium version is -4. It also lurches him forward even more. But this is kind of something you want to do to kind of catch out an opponent who's mashing. You don't get too much off it, obviously, but it's something to kind of bear in mind. It's something you can kind of do. You can see here. Now you can get a little bit of a safe jump on that if the opponent wants to start pressing buttons after wake up, like, or trying to do a DP. It's this move here. So you do this. Oh, hang on. Oh, I forgot. Right, we go here, right that, and you can go in, and then you can get your safe jump, and then you get whatever combo you want to get after that, which is quite nice. So something to bear in mind. I don't use this too much though, but the return on it obviously isn't like super great. It's more like for a pressure reset. After these buttons have kind of after this move has been established to the opponent, you're +36 and it leaves them right in your face. They can back roll after this. So if you like run in and then you're try and meet you, bear in mind the opponent can back out and it will mess up your meaty timing. So if you're noticing the opponent's back rolling a lot, then just adjust accordingly. Instead of like running in 6XL, maybe run in and wait and then try punish with this move, for example. Or you can run up, the opponent will do their back roll, and then you can even do something like do the walk up throw, because I'll get into the command grab in a minute, but like because it's so unsuspecting, sometimes the opponent will just be thrown off by you even attempting it, especially in a situation like that. So yeah, but they're mostly just combo string, except for this version here, the EX version. This is -8 on block. So it's not something you kind of want to be doing on block, obviously. You want to make sure the opponent has been hit. You want to hit confirm into the move before you go into it. Otherwise, you just want to cancel into this. But yeah, so that's kind of like the uses for the claw more than anything. And then obviously he has his DP. This move, his light one's mostly just used for combo strings. It's really good for the unblockable, which I'll get into in a bit. You have to do that, and then obviously I'll set the blocker when you do it, but it's mostly just used for like pressure ending combos more than anything. You could even just do this, go like this into your combo, and then go it again. So it really is just a combo pressure. It's obviously not got your invincible move. It's not invincible, so there's no point. His medium version. This is not your traditional DP. It does have invincibility, but it's not. I wouldn't do it on wake up. It's not the. I don't think the invincibility activates that early. But what's so good about this move is it's more like a pressure reset to end up plus. Now the opponent can DP you out of this. They can also 2H you. As you can see, it's very bloody slow. So this is something you want to kind of do every now and then. You wouldn't do it all the time. So, and then obviously his EX version is just his standard one. This is probably, I guess, another weakness for the character. His defense is good anyway because he has the parry, which I'll get into, but which is obviously the best anti-zoning thing in the entire game, outside of some ultimate skills. So his defense is like obviously a little bit weaker because he can't go into a medium version. He has to wait for the long cooldown. But he has a parry and a DP, so he's not suffering. And he has this move as well. Like I said, his defense is not. It's probably the best defensive character in the game, or one of them at least. Just something to bear in mind that you will have to be using the EX version rather than the others. Like I said though, this is really decent because it's -12. And if the opponent doesn't know you evade to punish it, then you can get away with murder pretty much. Obviously, yeah, they can punish you. at this distance, but it does, in my experience anyway, it doesn't happen as often as you'd think it should, because the opponent needs to kind of really be on point. So that's kind of it for the DPs. The command grab, now these, I say in my videos all the time how good these are. I only use the EX version in actuality. They're very bloody slow, right? You kind of they're very good to use in combos, I find, more than anything. It's similar to how Vera can go into her install from a combo. You drop the combo on purpose to go into the command grab. So I do something like this normally. And then I'll just like go into that. And obviously you don't do too much damage. You don't get a combo off it. It's mostly just for like pressure reset and stuff. It's nice he has it, but it's not like they're not like amazing, like I think. But because his mental stack's so high, you can kind of get away with it every now and then. But don't make a habit of doing it. If you want my advice though, only use the EX version. Even though you have this tell, it is just the best one. He has the ultimate version as well. I'll get into the ultimate skills when I get to those, but the ultimate version is a little bit better, but there's a massive way to tell when Belial is doing his parry and when he's doing his normal parry. Obviously you've noticed there he is using 50 meter, which is not, you know, it's not always going to be obvious for the opponent, but a little Belial counter tip, you can't go into your parry from a string. Like, you'd have to do it from, say, staggers and go into it. You can't do triple and then go into it. But you can go into his parry, ultimate parry, and command grab from any string at all. So that's something to bear in mind. Like, he can't cancel there, but he can cancel the parry into the command grab parry. So there's something, a counter tip for Belial right there. Just but it's something to be aware for like Belial players as well. It's not you can't just go do this and then go into parry. You have to go into your ultimate version. That's the biggest tell I find, that he's doing the parry version of the command grab rather than a normal version, because he physically can't when he's in like his strings like this. He has to like actually physically stop, and even then I had to mash it. So yeah, that's his command grabs. Use them every now and then. They're not obviously the best thing in the game, but they are what they are. Alright, in the next section I'm going to cover is his projectiles. Alright, so now we're going to get into his projectile. I'm going to go through each one and then kind of explain what I think to talk about. Alright, first thing to kind of note about the projectiles. The light version and the medium version have different trajectories. The EX version literally goes, it's the same trajectory as the light version. So anything I talk about the light version, you can do with the EX version. It's just the EX version has more hits, and it's also plus. So if you use this in pressure, you really shouldn't be using it as much as, say, this one. Obviously, when you want, you can kind of get away with stuff from time to time with the pressure sequences from the light version. But you can't, once the opponent's kind of sussed it to it, you have to kind of stick to the EX version of the move, because it's the only way to like keep the string completely airtight, where if you do this version, the opponent can, so you do the light version, the opponent can mash out. It's also, you have to press the button straight away, where the EX version, you can kind of delay it a little bit, so you can do that. It doesn't have to go, but you have to commit straight away to the light version. You can miss the timing quite frequently, so it has to kind of like, it's even now, so you have to be like really on point. But you still get the same plus frames. So if you do the version that goes out, you're +2. If you do the version that comes in, you're +2. And then if you do the version that hovers, then you are, I think it's +12. Yeah, there you go. And it's the same for the EX versions. So nothing seems in that sense. The only difference is this version is +2 still, whereas the light version is -10. Obviously, if you do this version in their face as well, it's also -10, but you get the same sort of mind game. So it's -2 and -2, and then this version's a bit weird. Hovers, it's -12 again, but there is a bigger gap between this and the EX version of the move anyway. Right, anyway, so that's kind of what I'll go over pressure a bit more in a second, but I kind of want to show the kind of like the similarities between this and the EX version of the move. Alright, so the recovery on these moves is like fairly decent, but obviously they get longer if you do one of the activations. Mind you, you don't have to do an activation. you can just pest the opponent this way. So, but it's something to bear in mind. Now, they all have kind of different uses. What the thing you kind of need to note and remember is when you press when you throw out the projectile, when you press back and like the light attack, that will always send the projectile towards the opponent, and it's exactly the same for any of them. This is the easiest way to remember. Light goes forward, and then medium goes backwards. That's what you need to remember, and that's the same for all three of them. See, comes back to you, press medium, and that's the same for this one. It does not change with the EX version of the move. It is still forward, and it's still back. So remember, light and back is forward. It's quite confusing to say, and then medium and back is back to you. So it's really important to know that, so you can kind of like stop the opponent from. But you need to know where your projectile's going basically, and it gets a bit confusing at first. Once you've been practicing a while, it's not too bad. But some of them have different like kind of unique kind of properties and stuff whether you can use them, because they have different like. You know, like for example, if the opponent's like jumping at you, but they're like here, and then you send it off in that direction, it's going to whiff. But like if you're trying to stop them from jumping in you can shield yourself with the back version, which is kind of like what you want to use it for and stuff. See, you don't get much of a combo off this. You can probably get like a standard because of the hit stun. You have to use the EX version to kind of get a decent combo. But that's something to bear in mind. This is really the forward version of light. Is mostly good just for pestering opponents. So you got an opponent who's always jumping at the back and stuff, and you just want to like stop them from like jumping. You know, it might not kill them. They'll help us, it will, but it stops them in the air and it allows you to kind of like press on them and stuff. Like, it's really good knowing how to control these and stuff. And if you got an opponent who is jumping, but you think, oh shit, you've missed them, or they've run at you, you can come back. Say they're standing still. I like doing this sometimes because you can also do it. Oh, that's something to bear in mind. Sorry, when it hits the opponent, you have like not a lot of activation time, but like when it's in flight, you can like do it whenever you want. Like it's fairly forgiving. You know, you can delay it quite a bit. So yeah, light and then forward is good for stopping people that are jumping at the back and stuff. And then light and medium back, you get kind of like the shield. Now, the medium version and back, I kind of use this more. I've used it in several situations for stuffing out projectiles. Say they throw a projectile, you can like pull this back into the projectile. A good example is like Anila's sheep. Like I've had it several times where I'll throw it, I'll link, oh, Anila's trying to jump. Oh, her sheep's there. And then you just reactively go back and then stop the sheep, and you keep yourself safe. You know, it's just like you can use this to kind of control the neutral in sense of like protecting yourself from projectiles. That's usually why I kind of use it as such. And then this version, the medium and then forward, this is good just to like make the opponent thinks they're going to jump, or the opponent thinks that they're going to stand still. This kind of it's because it's so quick as well. It can stuff out projectiles as well. So it is just kind of like getting used to it, and then having it with experience, you'll understand when the best time to use certain moves are. But I think once I like learned how to use these, playing full screen became a little bit more comfortable and stuff. And you've obviously got the parry as well, which is a nice thing you can kind of throw out there as well. So it's like you can stuff out their jump, you can control their scream, and if they're throwing projectiles, you can parry. Obviously, I'll talk about the parry in a bit, but because it's not like the parry isn't like an amazing one trick it will beat anything, because it has some moves it destroys straight away, like Zeta's projectiles. Zeta fires a projectile against Belial, like she has no chance, but like some characters can throw out slower ones and then they can recover in time and punish you for doing it. So it's something to kind of bear in mind, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Alright, and then the EX versions, like I said, they're exactly the same, but these ones are mostly just used in combos and in pressure. These are the ones you kind of want to use in pressure. Like I said at the beginning, you can use these in pressure, but it's more of a gimmick compared to this. And knowing which projectile to use in certain combos can really make a difference. I'll talk about it in the combo section. There's one combo you need to do mid-screen with Belial, or two, but you need to be aware if the opponent's crouching or standing, because you'll drop the combo otherwise, and it's really, really important. But that kind of covers his projectiles, basically. You just kind of get in the lab, and you really just got to get used to it. But just remember, light and back is forward, and then medium and back is back to you. And then obviously these are exactly the same, as they go in the exact same spot as the light version of the move. So yeah, but that's his projectile. Right, now we're going to go over his ultimate moves. I'm going to start with Claw. Claw is a guard crush move, that's +4. You can use this to in the Unblockable. I'll show you how to do it in a bit. This move's really good in pressure sequences. I do similar stuff like this. I'll go like that, your plus, continue the pressure. It's just nice to kind of throw out. It's much better in the corner, obviously, because you're like still in their face, whereas like in the mid screen you get a pushback. But its biggest thing that's good about it is not in a block string. You notice the chip's not that great, but out of a block string, the chip is freaking ridiculous in this move. Like, it's really good for like chipping away at the opponent, like ending a game or something like that. And your plus, obviously. And then, because you're like plus in this situation, depending on your distance, obviously you keep don't take a penalty from the. You don't take penalty. So you can still, if you've got 100 meter, you can literally do something like this. You can like, go like that, and then go like this, and then you can go into your like combo because you actually have enough. Yeah, you go like that, and then whatever, right? So it's something to kind of bear in mind. And you get your pressure. So just something to bear in mind. It's really good just like kind of throw out because of its guard crushing. Obviously the opponent can brave counter this, so something to bear in mind. They can also brave counter out the Unblockable, and some characters have the ability to ultimate DP out of Unblockable, but that is just an example of something you can do with the move. It's more just pressure resets, but it's better in the corner, obviously. Right, the enhanced projectile. This is good in some some combos. So I find it's really good at the end of a round. Say I have an opponent here, say their health is like really low. It doesn't do too much chip, but you can like lock them down with this move here. And then you can literally just do this. And then throw 2. And so you can see the chip isn't mad good. But the fact that it does a little bit of chip, so I've had its closeout rounds before where I've like, look, mate, you kind of want to stay at this range because even though you got all this and stuff, and the opponent still can DP through or super through, so it's not like a foolproof lockdown, but it's just like it's a nice thing he can do, I find. So you are plus ridiculous after this, so it's like plus 14. So you can continue your pressure as well. It's more like another pressure reset he's got, but it's also good for like combos. Obviously in the combo section I'll show you how to use that, but it's something to bear in mind. It's also really good for like stopping the opponent from firing out projectiles full screen. If I get Belial to throw out his projectile. Let's do the light one. So he does this, throw that, he does it. You can stuff him out, which is also quite nice. And you can throw 2 if you want to like waste all your meter. You have to obviously time it well. And I'm really not showing right now how to do it. Oh, got absolutely stuffed that time. There you go. This is quite nice. And you can get a combo off it when you're in the corner and stuff, which is quite nice. So it's pretty decent damage for what it is. It's not too bad. It's really, but it's like good for like the combo more than anything. All right, and then we got ultimate DP. This one's only really useful if you've used this. It is very quick, -8, so it's much quicker than the other one. So something to bear in mind. But I'd only use it if you've got run out of this and you're desperate. But like I said, Belial has this, which is good for like stopping out the stagger attempts and stuff. Is really good for dealing with staggers. And he's obviously also got his standard DP, and he's got this. So useful, but also depending on the situation. But it's just a standard move. Obviously, you get a hard knockdown from it, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, that covers his ultimate techniques. So now I'm going to go over the parry. Oh, I didn't talk about. I spoke about this briefly, but yeah, the ultimate version of this again. So while it's like this, it's a parry. He'll walk all the way up to the opponent, more or less. So from the distance, and then he'll do this. This is good to do every now and then, but as you can see, the damage is pretty abysmal. So it's like more of a round closing out move, but you can get grabbed out of this really easily, especially if the opponent knows that you can do this, so you can do that. It projectiles that, but it's something to kind of bear in mind. But yeah, that covers his ultimate techniques. I'll do the parry, and I'll talk about the parry now. Alright, so we're going to go over his parry. His parry is obviously really good for dealing with anti-zoning. It puts you right in their face. You are -3 if the opponent blocks it. So I use Jita's projectile as a good example because she recovers fairly fast from her projectile use. So if you do it right in the face, you can get a counter hit. And then one thing to note is you're plus enough once you land. So you're -47. You're plus to get a cross up on the opponent. So if you want to side switch, say if for whatever reason Jita is in the corner and she fires the projectile at you here, which is not a good idea, but you can then get your pressure started and swap round and stuff. So it's something to bear in mind. So some opponents don't realise that you can recover in time by the time you get to the other side. But bear in mind, not every projectile you counter in the game will allow you to get a guaranteed punish. There's only like it does happen for a lot of characters in the game. Like Zeta is a good example. When Zeta uses her projectile, then you are able to always get a guaranteed punish on her because the recovery is so bad. But Jita is an example of a character who has a privileged projectile, and obviously even if she does her charge version, she's still definitely recovered in time for this. So obviously if you're using the projectile version of the move, then you would have to change up how you would approach it. So it's the parry is something to note. It's not obviously a foolproof kind of method to kind of stopping opponents from zoning. It's just something you can kind of fry every now and then. Sometimes it's good as well to delay. I find when opponents fire out really plus projectiles, for example, like Anila's Sheep's a good example. They can move around, and if you delay your parry from when it hits zone and just run straight into the parry like that, you won't always get a punish. But if you delay it, you can get a punish when they start to try and move, which is something because you get a slowdown when this happens, so it can kind of mix up the opponent a little bit. Well, yeah, so that's mostly just the parry for projectile purposes, but it's also good for like staggers. Obviously, the opponent can call you out for doing this if they're doing like stuff like this. But if I have like Jita in the corner doing like stuff like that, you know, you got like this or whatever, like you can just parry, take the side, and then take the corner. So it bears to be patient when you're playing Belial. Because this is only one button as well, it's quite easy to get over. It activates from like frame 3 as well, so you can't do it on wake up. But it's just something to kind of bear in mind that the best places to kind of use it are situationally against zoners, and basically, obviously, go into training mode and find out what characters can kind of like if you're getting beat by certain characters doing it, then you can kind of like take advantage of it. It's very good in like times when opponents kind of like have massive openings in their strings. I'll show you a good example now. So I got Namaya here, and this is a good example. There's like characters who will like commit to moves, and you can kind of like get away with using the parry in those situations. One example is Namaya. I'll show you this one now. If you time it correctly, you're always guaranteed to get like your punish off, and then obviously you can do the side swap. So yeah, the parry can be used versatilely in certain stagger situations. Like you can kind of get off interrupting the opponent's pressure with it. Makes the opponent think about twice about doing like certain moves. Like for example, Maya has that one, like I was saying. So it's something to kind of bear in mind, but situationally, you should use the parry. Don't become too obvious, because it is incredibly, massively like negative, and it's easy to call out. Once the Belial shrugs, they can get a really good combo on you. So it is something to kind of bear in mind. Obviously, most opponents will just grab it, which is good for you, but good opponents will wait to use shrug. Then they'll get a nice punish on you. Yeah, that's it for the parry. Alright, and one thing I kind of want to talk about, just briefly, just about covering his supers, because I just still like something to mention. If it's not generally going to kill, I generally don't advise doing this one, and the reason is because Belial gets much better damage in the corner. Like, his mid-screen damage isn't terrible, but his corner damage is like a lot better. And like, while this will take 2 of the crystals and do like obscene amount of damage, and even in the mid screen you can get a nice safe jump, you know, so it's not completely awful. What's so good about this one here is how much corner carry it has. Like, you just take them straight to the corner, it does a little bit less damage, and then you still get your safe jump. And then if they land, if you land it, then you get that, and you can like throw them out there. I just think situationally the super needs to be used. Just use it in a good spot rather than, like, you know, unless it's gonna kill. Because if it's gonna kill, I reckon just go for this one here if you have it. Yeah, it's just a tip that I find. It's just the ability to like take them to the corner is, I think, very valuable. Like, even from here, like the corner scream in carry is still pretty decent. And then like one more combo, and you're like very close to the corner compared to if you use the other one. But yeah, it's just something I like to kind of use. I just use this one just to go to good. Also, it doesn't travel as far as you'd think. So just bear that in mind as well. When you hit them, you go far, but when you're like trying to stop them, you don't go too far. Also, this this move here, when the super comes out, you have to hit them with that. You see that swipe he does? That's how you get the animation. But if you don't hit them with the app, then you'll only get half that. So it's not as good as Jitters, which is like really good for like going through everything and then taking them to this corner. It's not as good as that, but it's still probably his best super outside of the damage, because the damage for the other one is obviously a lot much better. But that's it for the supers. I kind of wanted to cover that because I don't usually talk about the supers, but his carry scheme one, I find it to be quite useful. Alright, so the next thing we're going to go over quickly is his unblockable setup. They can be beaten out by some ultimate techniques like DPs, and it can also be beaten out with a guard cancel if the opponent blocks the guard crush. But that's about it. Other than that, the opponent kind of has to hold this. And the way this kind of works is they land in such a way that it leaves them you +6, and then -6 obviously, which allows you to link his 5M, which is 6 frames. So timing is a bit rough, but it is pretty handy to kind of know. It's good for closing out rounds and stuff. It's a nice technique to kind of have. And the way you kind of set this up is you have to have blocking after the initial hit. And it just allows the opponent to block the guard crush move rather than just taking, because if you don't have them, if they don't block it, they'll just get hit by this anyway, and then that'll be the end of the sequence. But yeah, this is how you do it. And that's kind of the sequence. As you can see, it does quite a bit of damage if the whole setup kind of links, and you also get a safe jump right at the end, which is also kind of nice to kind of add to it. And you're also you've still got some meter, so you've only got to do a little bit more, and you can build up more meter, which is quite nice. Yeah, so that's kind of the setup. You can kind of set this up for anything as well. I'll show you another sequence how you can kind of go into this as well. And that's just one example of where you can kind of set up on the screen. It can kind of be done. As long as it's near the corner, you can kind of just get it off. That's obviously one of his crouch combos, which I'll kind of go into in a minute. You need to be kind of situationally aware. You need to be close to the corner if you want to do the one that isn't the crouch combo. Because if you do the standard one, you just fall a bit short, and you need to do a little bit, something a little bit different. But if you're close to the corner, then the same idea applies. You just have to be close to the corners and kind of pull the move off. And that's it. But it's all about timing, as you can see. Like, even I've been doing it a while and I still mess up the timing, but something to bear in mind. But yeah, that's kind of essentially the unblockable setup. It's something you really should learn once you kind of got better at everything else. Like, don't make it your priority, but having it in your toolkit once you've come a little bit better at mastering him, I'd say that's something you kind of want to pick up and learn. But yeah. Alright, so now I'm going to go through his combos. I'll just show you two mid-screen ones and how to kind of set them up, because you need to do them a little bit differently. I'm also going to show you an anti-air combo, and I'll show you 3 you can do in the corner, and the one I recommend is the best. But yeah, we'll get there. Okay, right, so we'll start with his... if you have an opponent who is standing up, this is the combo you want to do. And if you're near the corner... If you get him into the corner, you can go into this, and then you can go into your super that way. That's a nice way to kind of end the combo. But if you don't have the super gauge, you kind of end it. Just end with this version, so you, if you hit them in the corner, you'll be able to do one of your corner combos, because you can only combo off the EX version, obviously. And then obviously, if the opponent is crouching, this is the combo you want to do. And same difference, you can end it that way, or you can go into the unblockable, which I set up, show you how to set up earlier. Now, the way you practice getting used to this, you need to set the opponent to action on block, to standing X, and you also need to send it to crouching X, and then set it to random, and then you need to get the opponent to block. And then basically you just do a light into a medium, and if they crouch during the combo, then you need to do the crouching variant, and if they stand, try and get it. You just basically need to keep running through and then get used to them, whether they're standing or crouching. See, he's standing this time. And then you just run it through that way. So as you crouch, and then you'll just get used to doing the combo. Just hit confirm it, basically. And the reason this works is because when you're doing the when you're doing the counter attack off the block, the crouching low leaves him stuck in a like crouching stance. And then if he does a high move, does the 5L, for example, then it leaves him standing. That's all. But you need to kind of practice this. This is really important to kind of like doing the like the good mid-screen combos with Belial. Otherwise, you'll have to rely on doing raging strikes a little bit more, which are still good. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, wait. But you know, you'll hit the combo limit and it's like not as good, and you're spending more resources, whereas like with these ones you're able to confirm into your super right after, so it's something to kind of bear in mind. But that's kind of like his mid-screen sort of combos. You want to like practice that. As for mid-screen, I really recommend just using Raging Strike. That's the combo I kind of use, and you get your little safe jump at the end. There is a variant without, but I find his return isn't the greatest, and some of it's a bit like tricky to pull off, and it's not always like a good option. So sometimes I think it is just better to just spend the Raging Strike. I'll show you an example of one I learned. As you can see, this is not doing as much damage. Also, you have to really be at the right distance to do it. It's very finicky. So even there, like, if you mistime it, he flips out. And the return isn't like the best. And if you do it too late, then you grab them. In the corner, this is a little bit better. The only reason I think it's a little bit better is because you can go into super. But I generally think the best thing you can kind of really do with Belial in terms of anti-airing is just do this. And then when you feel really comfortable, then try learn the other one. But I don't know if you've ever seen my like matches, I never go for this. Because it's just like, it's hard. And the reward you get is not the greatest. So you might, sometimes I think it's just better just to go for the Raging Strike. But that's his anti-air combo. And now in the corner, I'll go for his corner game. I'll show you 3 that I use, and they all lead into super, which is quite nice. But one does a lot more damage. I'll show you the highest damage one now, off of the super ending. It's fairly basic. It does like half the health bar pretty much. And that was with a light starter, so it's pretty decent. So yeah, that's the one when you kind of want to have when you have all your stuff. Obviously, you can do this version, so it's like your mid-screen variant, but instead of ending in the combo that you would normally end in the mid-screen with the light claw, you end with the heavy claw, and then you can continue the combo. You get less damage on this one, which is quite not as good, obviously. And then you got this version. This one's probably the trickiest to do, but it's also the flashiest looking one. So, to be honest with you, you probably always want to go for this. Because of its extra damage. But there are other combos you can kind of pull off as well, something to kind of bear in mind. Obviously, you can use his ultimate projectile to get a combo as well. But you hit combo limit fairly quickly with that one. But it's something like if they're throwing projectiles, that's something you can kind of pull off. And his boot, which I didn't really go into too much, he has his own like grand boot. This move is really, really good. I forgot to cover it, but I'll do it now. It's -3 from a distance. If you space it correctly, it can be plus, which is also really nice. Yeah, like the fact it's -3, like even close, and it's comes out 20 frames. It's pretty nice. But the main attraction to it is you get a combo. So if you just throw this out like as a punish, you can get a nice combo on that as well. But it's like high risk, low reward. Low risk, high reward, because you can get like 50% of the health bar, and if they block it, you're safe anyway. But it has to be a counter hit. You know, you can't do this on non-counter hit. That's pretty much it for the combos, to be quite honest with you. Like I said, you he's a character you might want to focus more on about the neutral game, like controlling the projectiles with punishing and learning your spacing. I think that is what really determines what kind of a Belial player you can kind of turn yourself into. But with the combos and stuff, I'd say just learn the mid-screen one. Like, is he crouching? Is he not? That's like paramount. Anti-air, I would just say just stick to the Raging Stroke, unless you're feeling confident and want to learn that one. With the thing, this projectile combo is niche, and it's useful when you're against the opponent that use a projectile, but it's like something you can kind of end the game with, like a call out if you like. And then obviously that corner combo, like I said, if you land the hit, you might as well go for the one that does the most damage. And then obviously don't forget you have the unblockable as well, which all three of these combos lead into, except for the last one. So you can do that. Obviously they have to be blocking after. But yeah, that's going to be it for the Belial guide, to be honest with you. I hope I covered everything and this helps you play the character. He's really, really strong. I think that he's definitely worth your time. And he's a hell of a lot of fun, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or anything like that, just put them down in the comments below. And just let me know and I'll see if I can answer. But until then, yeah, take care. Cheers.